Hello and welcome to McNulty's on Movies.
Hello.
We're going to be talking about The Martian and Everest, which are a couple of the movies that we've seen in the past month or so.
Yeah. Two of the best ones, in our opinion.
Yes. So, what did you think of The Martian?
I thought it was phenomenal. Really, really interesting. Kind of long, but like in a way that held my attention the whole time.
Yeah.
Collin, you had read the book.
I had. And you had no idea about anything.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, I had seen the previews.
That's true.
Collin had not seen the previews.
But I had read the book.
But he had read the book. And he told me that the book was pretty, like, technical. Lots of engineering stuff in it. So I was kind of like, is this movie going to be, like, a bunch of boring stuff about him, like, building things and... I mean, there was, like, science-y stuff in it, for sure, but it wasn't the focus.
Yeah. I definitely think they more alluded to his engineering endeavors more so than the book, which described them in much greater detail. I think in the movie, they would almost always only show a problem as he had the solution to it, like him describing his solution, versus the book, which would often, like, you'd see his thought process.
I loved his attitude
in
the movie of, like, humor.
Yes, definitely.
The whole time. It was a lot more, like, funny than I expected, and, but also, I got a little bit annoyed with it. I'm glad that he, like, showed emotion.
Yeah.
At times, too, because I was like, there's no way that someone would be this happy or, like, nonchalant or, like, cracking jokes if they were really stuck on Mars and, like, gonna die. So I'm glad he had, like, a freak out. So I'm like, well, you're a human.
Yeah, I think
although it is called The Martian. Was he?
Yes.
I mean, I'm just saying. Throwing it out there, Collin.
So, by way of comparison, so we also saw Everest. I think they're similar movies insofar as they're both survival movies in harsh situations in some sort of natural environment.
I tend to disagree with that statement. Because I don't think that this Everest is a survival movie.
Okay. So, Everest is about the 1996 or so.
96, I think.
Expedition to Everest, and it wasn't exactly a happy-go-lucky trip.
No. Well, it's a real story.
Yeah.
That's what you were saying.
Yeah.
So, and I did, like, a book report. It's based on this book that John Krakauer wrote. It's called Into Thin Air. And he was somebody that was on the expedition. And I did a book report when I was little. Because I went through this, like, mountain phase, which I'm still kind of in. I don't want to, like, go climb a mountain. I just am really interested in mountains. And so, anyway. So I knew a lot about it. I'd watched the movie Into Thin Air, which is, like, a really low-budget form of Everest. That's from a long time ago.
And this was very much not a low budget movie.
No, it was amazing.
Yeah. So I usually hate 3D in movies, but we saw this one in 3D IMAX, and it was amazing.
The IMAX part. I mean, 3D would have been cool, but, like, even the fact that it was IMAX, it was so giant.
I thought it was
Thanks,
so cool.
Mom and Dad McNulty.
The other McNulty.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was... I thought just the sense of scale in some of those shots was incredible and really enhanced by the fact that it was in 3D. And I didn't find it obtrusive or intrusive in any of the shots where it was not.
How do you find it intrusive?
It did not intrude upon my movie watching experience.
Just like stuff jumps out at you? Intrusive?
Well, that would certainly be intrusive, but it didn't fall apart. It was well shot. They clearly thought about it. And in fact, I would go so far as to say, like, the mountain and the cinematography and the sense of scale was a lot better than any of the individual performances or anything like any of that.
I think it had to be to pull it off. I think what made it believable largely was the fact. I mean, they did a really good job acting. Really, really good. And good job, like, making everything look like the actual setting did then. But I think that definitely the filming and everything.
Yeah, well, The Martian on the other hand, The Martian is not really about Mars. It actually, it kind of shows up in the titles.
Yeah.
One is called Everest, and one is called The Martian. And I think that actually really well highlights the...
One's about the person.
Yeah, one is really focused on the human element.
About the disaster.
Yeah. Everest, the movie, is, I mean, it's a human tragedy, but it's not really played up quite the same way as The Martian is, where you're really, about rooting for this person in a problem. And Everest, the sense that you get from it is awe. Like, that's what they're going for.
Yeah, very much awe. In both, like, a good and, like, bad way.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of, I mean, if you go in knowing the story, which I feel like a lot of people do, but
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people go in there not.
Yeah.
Also, if you haven't seen it and you, like, don't want to know the story, maybe tune out really fast. But, like, they die, most of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like kind of what you were saying, like trying to be like a survival movie. The main character is Rob Hall, and you like want to root for him because he is trying to survive.
Yeah.
But there's a point in the movie where he has this last conversation with his wife on the phone, which is amazing. Really happened. Technology, even back then. But, like, he's not going to make it.
All the way back in 1997.
Okay, but think about it. Nobody can get to him to get him down. He's going to die. But he can talk to her on a cell phone.
That's kind of cool. Yeah, I think...
Or a walkie-talkie through another phone. Through a stat phone. Through...
Yeah. Well...
Stat. I said stat phone. Sat. Right?
Satellite phone. Yeah.
But they call them sat phones.
Yeah.
You're in the know.
Well, I think it actually is a really interesting that... Everest kind of gives you this feeling of humans are not powerful in the face of nature.
Yeah,
I feel like that's the
nature is its
core.
own.
Well, The Martian is about, like, you can do it.
You can make nature like work for you.
You can make it work. You can be in a really horrible... Humans can be in really horrible situations, and they can work together to get out of them. And Everest is like, sometimes you can't.
Right.
Which I think that's interesting. So how do those two... if you were only going to see one of those two movies, which of those would you see?
If I was only going to see one? That's a hard question. I would probably see The Martian. I would really want to see Everest, but because I've had experience with that story and knowing that story, I didn't know anything about The Martian, but I knew it was going to be good. So I hope that it would be good. What about you?
I would agree. I think that Everest is almost like it's almost not a story. It's almost like
a documentary.
Or... part
not...
documentary, but also part like legend.
Yeah.
It has that quality of like a mythology.
They had to ad-lib kind of part of...
Well, I don't
know how much information they had, but some of the people and the conversations that you see in Everest like may or may not have happened. Because they didn't come back, so I don't know.
Well, I just think that the mountain has this mythological status in the movie.
And in real life, to a lot of people.
It does. And that's... To me, that's not quite as interesting. It's really cool, but it's not quite as interesting as the human element of The Martian, which may be impacted a lot by the fact that I have read the book. Interesting that we've each read one of the two books upon which these films are based.
Really the coolest couple ever. Right. Okay. So in closing, I would also like to remark that Sean Bean is in The Martian.
Ned
Stark.
And Boromir.
They make a reference to Lord of the Rings when he's in one of the shots. I think it's really cool. And also, yay for not dying in a movie or a show. We didn't ruin anything.
Yeah, we should probably cut that out. That's like major spoilers.
People have seen it. They don't know what I'm talking about. I think it's fine. I really do.
Watch The Martian. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
This has been
Thank
McNulty's on Movies.
you.